We're live.
Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Alex Books, and this is my co-host Roger Sutherland, and welcome to the Guitar Gear Locker. We are on our live show 2, actually. Tonight, basically, the idea originally behind this show tonight was I was going to discuss a little bit about the Philly metal scene. And a few days ago, I got the word that a fellow, one of the early metal, thrash metal guys from our scene, Brian Batson from the band Abolish, passed away. And I got word of this from my good friend John Litcko, who told me. And when we were on the phone, we kind of discussed like, hey, it'd be cool to have a show and get a couple of us from the scene to talk about Brian and talk about the early scene of all the different bands and that were around in the 80s. And unfortunately I wasn't able to get everybody on, so it's more turning on. We're going to have John on tonight, and John can talk about Brian a bit, his friendship with Brian, and talk about his bands. And a lot of people know that are from our the early death metal scene. John was the second guitar player in Goreaphobia with me after the original guitarist Henny Petrosky left the band. And after John left Goreaphobia, he went on to form the band Necrotion. And he also went on to do bands like Symphony of Grief, Perverseraph, and now he's back doing Necrotion again. And I know they have some new music recorded as well, which we can get into. And maybe we'll get another Necrosion member on as well tonight. And but before we get to that, I guess in other news, I think there was a question about Fishman on their last. It was about the voltage or something like that.
Yeah, and I had misunderstood what he had asked. It was Brian. He said he asked what I thought about that upgrade, and I didn't know it was an aftermarket upgrade. And I kind of researched it. There's a couple of videos out there, and it looks to me, and I'm going to put it in Roger terminology here. It looks to me like you're just taking a system that's designed to run on 9 volts and upping the voltage to 18 or 20, and overpowering the in this case, the one I saw was Moderns. Um, and the guy was doing it to solve a problem that I think is probably already solved by, maybe he did or didn't know that he could connect the wire for the high tilt function. So I I have there's a couple issues with this, and these are just my opinions, and there's a lot of opinions out there. Um, my opinion is like it was designed and tested to run on a 9-volt system. And I get like if 9 is good, then 18 got to be better, right? I get it. I'm a guy. I have that way of thinking also, but we have to think also like when Fishman designed that system, it was designed around a 9-volt platform and a 9-volt power source. So that's kind of the first thought. And these are kind of expensive systems when you go out, especially if you buy it and install it in a guitar. So when I became a Fishman dealer, they sent me, pages and pages of things that, I had to agree to. And one was when I install these, I have to install them according to the manufacturer's directions, which I agree with. So that's one thing that comes to mind is overpowering these, and I listened, and it was negligible, if anything. So and I think the problem the guy was trying to solve in a video I watched, he probably could have done by just connecting the high tilt wire and functionality of it. So the one thought is, if you do that, and you and I know that you had one of your pickups go bad, and I sent it back. Fishman was very good. They sent me a new one. We had you back up and running, no problem. So they fully back their products. So the one thing that would worry me is it would void the warranty, and those are expensive systems. The second, this is kind of one I hate to say, I hate to go down this line of, my former life, but I'm a 30-year fire and explosives investigator. So I've dealt a little bit with lithium ion batteries. And that's kind of what they're dealing with with that particular video that I watched. And I think anytime, like, lithium ion batteries are okay and they work fine, as long as you use them like they're designed. But I've seen them not be okay when you don't use them like they were designed. So that industry is very specific on how you use lithium ion batteries. And I could be totally off base, because that's what it looked like to me that he was using, was the lithium batteries. So I don't know that I'd necessarily, I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to burn your stuff down or whatever, but it's definitely not, I don't think it's good to overpower something for a way that it wasn't designed. There's a way that you could get around it with the wiring by using a high tilt. And the last is, using a higher voltage battery for something it wasn't designed for isn't always good, doesn't always work out well. So that's kind of like a long, weird, nerdy answer to it. A lot of different angles. But I mean, at the bottom, laying at the bottom of it, if you have an expensive Fishman system, like, there's a lot of different sounds out there. If you're trying to get a different sound, I mean, get the set that matches your preference.
Mhm.
Overpowering a set of moderns, maybe you don't want moderns, maybe you want a different set. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the answer to that. That was a long answer, I know, but
I have one guitar that you worked on as well, that has the the USB, the chargeable
right.
Fishman in there, and I'll tell you, it definitely. I mean, the batteries last pretty long, I would say, in the
Mhm.
Fishman well, but the I don't know what you maybe this, you're a Fishman dealer now, but with the how many hours it is with the chargeable. I know it's a lot. I know
It's
it's
a lot,
I don't
and
know how many
you know what? I actually read it today, and I forgot already. It's a lot. You get a lot of use out of it, but it mentioned exactly how many hours it was. And I was actually pretty surprised how many, and somebody may be watching this and know exactly what it is. But yeah, and that's dealing with the 9-volt system. This was just somebody that's taken 9 and going, well, if it's 9-volt and it sounds like this, I think he was trying to go for a different sound. Then if I throw 18 or 20 through it, it'll sound better. Um, yeah, and I don't know. I like using things the way they're designed. Fishman designed them that way for a reason. And I know there's always ways to hot rod things, but I think when you're dealing with electronics, and they're very electronic-y, probably best to use them the way they're designed. Now, and you and I have talked about this, that high tilt wire kind of cuts off those highs, and you can get the darker sound. And it actually, in their directions, it says, for darker sound, connect this wire. And you use that on yours, especially with the Will Adler. And I just recently put a set of moderns in, and I actually hooked it up to the push pull, so you can activate and deactivate that high tilt. So I know that was a lot of information, but hopefully that answered the question. Real quick, I saw this is
Well,
Cody. That, while I have Cody watch, and I'll let him know that's his guitar back here. It's all ready to go. So we have him all buttoned up. He has a nice LTD back here that he just
ah,
cut. I figured
cool.
we throw him a shout out. He's probably, he could be your biggest fan at this point. Yeah,
I,
cool guy, cool player.
what is the model of that LTD?
I I don't know. It is. I can hold it up if Cody doesn't mind. We'll hold it up and display his guitar. He's
Oh, okay.
just
So
got it.
that's like an FRX, I think. type of shape, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like
And
that.
nice guitar, plays well. And
Yeah.
he is now switched over and he's in tune to B with 12s on it. So he's good to go now.
Mhm.
So brought over a couple, but yeah, he was our first comment in there. Um, and we'll wait, John. So everybody knows what we were doing at the beginning. John was in, but he was on his telephone, and he's going in his house to get on
Yeah,
his
we're just
computer.
waiting for him to be ready, and we'll bring Johnny on. But well, I guess I'll give a little backstory on John.
Yeah.
How I met John, at least what I can remember, is we were playing, and actually it's related to Brian Batson as well, because Goreaphobia was playing a party, and this is the first time we had Craig in the band playing in front of people, you know. So we were playing a party, and I'm pretty sure Abolish played this party, and this would have been maybe like late '89, I guess, maybe December or something like that, maybe around Christmas time or something. Um, and it was a party for somebody else had passed away, and
Right.
John will probably remember better. So I met John at that party from Joe Young, who was the guitarist of Necrotion as well, and
Right.
Joe played in a band called Executioner with Henny Petrosky
Mm-hmm.
of Goreaphobia and on Now Shadows, and
Right.
Chris Gamble, who was the singer of Gorephobia's brother. Frank played in that band, and he
Right.
played with me as well. Frank, early on back then. So yeah, I was introduced to John, and I just remember he watched us play, and he was like really into what we were doing, and it was kind of like the music that he was more looking to play,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just remember his enthusiasm right off the bat, and we just
Right.
instantly became friends,
Yeah.
just meeting.
Yeah.
So a long time now,
Yeah.
But,
What year? Like what time frame is that?
1980, it would have been, I'm thinking it was probably December '89.
Late 80s, right? Wow.
So yeah, it's been a lot of years, and you know, we've actually made a lot of music together over the years. That's just playing and jamming, and just never
Right.
released any of it. But there's a lot of stuff me and him have done
Right. Wow.
together,
So
and
you've basically
yeah,
known each other since you were kids.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Man,
So
it's crazy how many people. I mean, you and I've talked about this. I grew up in the DC area, and I just don't remember, and it may have been there, I don't know, but I don't remember this music community being around back then, especially with people like from high school and things like that. Just don't remember it.
yeah, well, I think even especially in the metal community, finding like-minded people that were
Right.
into the same type of stuff, that thought about music the way we did, because back in those days, we were it was such a small scene, and just,
Right.
group of guys, there might have been just like 5 people in one city that were into,
Right.
the type of stuff that we're into. So, um, when you did find somebody that was, you know, like-minded like that,
Right.
there was a bond, there. And
Right.
yeah, and we've remained friends since then. He's been one of the most consistent people in my life. Without a doubt.
Right. Right.
So yeah, let me see.
I
Hopefully,
got
John's
to catch him walking down the sidewalk a couple minutes ago.
yeah,
he,
yeah,
he was like hustling. And we were watching the count. So if anybody saw me say live, we're live. That's what we were
oh,
doing. We were watching him run down a sidewalk, and we realized we were at 0 on the
I have
countdown.
some unrelated stuff, but some news about something we discussed before on the last podcast, and I don't know if I've told you the update, but my guitars. So finally,
Wait a minute. Do we
uh,
need a drum roll?
the two airlines connected, and they FedExed me my guitar. So I should have Monday. They already left New Jersey. So hopefully they're all in one piece.
But they're not here yet, so we
No,
can't
but
try a
they're
release.
scheduled to be here Monday. So You
Well,
know.
I mean, if you remember, you know, I know FedEx is a lot better than USPS, if I could bag on them for a second.
Oh,
But remember, I sent a Vega trim out to California that I had sold when I was a Vega dealer, and that thing was scanned in Richmond's post office, what, 70 times? And they knew
mm,
it. And I didn't tell you this when we talked on the phone the other day. It's weird how dysfunctional the mail service is nowadays because I had that. I also had those 1984 Van Halen posters that I got from my cousin. They were both lost simultaneously in the same distribution place in Richmond, just going
mm,
around in circles on a conveyor belt. So I filed the loss, lost mail report or whatever, and they said we're looking. So like once a month, I got we're looking, and still haven't found it. Meanwhile, I got it. I got them both. It was like a month to get both of those, and calling everybody under the sun. So I think it was like last week I got something saying, got something from the post office saying, we looked, can't find it. Sorry. Because I never told them I got it. I was like, whatever. If they're that dysfunctional, I'll let them keep, not like they're looking anyways. But the
yeah.
problem was we had, when I shipped the Vega trim, I left, I left the barcode because it was in a box that we had received something else in another guitar part. And I forgot to take the barcode off the bottom that had my address. So it would hit one scanner to send it to California to the guy that bought it. Then it would hit another one to send it back to me. And it literally just went back and forth. And I guess my point is until you see your guitars, they're not here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just hope they're in one piece.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know,
Absolutely.
'cause,
Well, that's good that
yeah.
you got it all solved with them. It's amazing what happens when people in the same company talk.
Well, it's funny because every rep that I've spoken to, not one of them did anything really until the one woman I spoke to the other day that was like, "Hold on, I'm going to call the other airline."
Right.
And she did that, and then she got back to me and she goes, "We're going to expedite this to you, and this and
Yeah.
that." And then I called the next day, and they had a FedEx tracking number for me. So,
Nice.
which is good also because they, I don't know if you saw the news about everything going down, and United was one of those
Oh
affected by
yeah.
that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. So you got kind of caught up in the middle of that whole thing also.
yeah, yeah. I think
So
John
what
should
other
be.
guitar news do we have? It's been a busy week here this week. So
What's that?
it's been a busy week here this week. Lots of guitars in, lots of
Oh,
upgrades.
sure. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
been a good week.
Nice.
So he's coming back in. John's. I'll put him in when he. I don't know what happens. There's a little thing that happens on the bottom of the screen that just shows he's trying to connect. So I guess he's making his way. Then we'll
Yeah.
let him in. Yeah, it's been a busy week. So you do any playing this week? You all are getting
Uh,
ready, right, for Philly?
yeah, yeah. It's going over the old songs, and yeah, it's starting to do that actually last night.
Right,
And yeah, it should be interesting. It's a very unique set list for us. We're just basically focusing on the first couple records,
right,
and
right.
yeah, and there's there might be one song that may have never been played before, or may have been played before live. I don't know.
Really?
But yeah, yeah, yeah. So
And you all
um,
are playing songs from that era, right?
yeah, it's just basically the '90s albums up in
Right. Wow,
first
that'll be
first
cool.
like the first four records, pretty much up until
Right, right.
the Coastal World Below record. So
Yeah. And when
yeah,
is that? That's. I
that
think
is.
he must be having problems with his computer.
31st.
I'm sorry. I was talking about John. It looks like he's trying to get in, but he's having a hard time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Um, Maybe try your phone again. I'll tell him.
So go back out on the sidewalk.
Yeah, yeah. I just use the phone.
Yeah. You know what? This technology, this has been a whole new world for you and I. Like nobody really, like when you look out there, there's no directions on how to do this. So every week, like when I I think this platform that we're using has been easy enough, but like if there's one hiccup, like remember the one week mine kept glitching out, and when I was looking at it, it looked
Mhm.
perfectly fine on the screen.
Yeah. I'm gonna try sending him the link again, and hopefully that works. So, but yeah, it is. It's trial and error. It's like
Yeah,
all this. You know. Let me see here.
I would talk to you, but you're texting.
Oh, sorry. Live television.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is the way it goes. Right? We had it all set up to do this and talk about the Philly stuff, but and this is the way it goes. Usually this is kind of behind the scenes, and
Yeah.
like when you're recording, nobody can tell because it all gets edited out.
Well, while we're waiting, I guess we could get into a little bit about John too, and from my perspective of things, and actually just the real history. But
Sure.
the first death metal band in Philly was Goreaphobia was my band, my old band, and the second death band to play death metal was Necrotion. Really,
Right.
um, we were like the first to do what we were doing in our city, and and there was definitely some guys in the surrounding areas too and stuff. Band like
Right.
Crucifier that were they came a little bit later, but
Right.
they were trying to think of what area they were. They were like Delaware County, something like that.
Right.
And then there was another band around that same area called Lesh Nine.
Uh-huh.
So they're another band that came out later, and then there was another band that came out later as well. These guys were, I guess, probably about 2 or 3 years after Goreaphobia, maybe.
Right.
Deteriorate. There was another band as well, and they were from like the, I guess, like they were like Feasterville area or something, or Bucks County.
Right.
But yeah, little by little, like certain bands would pop up. But we were the Philly guys. Um, so. Uh,
So it
you know,
was like Philly, South Jersey, right?
No, not South Jersey.
So
We
all
the club, the club that we that was like our home club was in South Jersey,
okay.
but we were all from Philly, from the
Right.
Philly area. So as far as South Jersey, I'm trying to think if there was anything like extreme. There was some thrash bands there's definitely a lot of thrash bands from South
Right.
Jersey. It
No,
wasn't like
I didn't know. I guess mine was more like when you're referring to Philly bands, I didn't know if it like encompassed that entire area. Like they say we're DC and we're in
yeah.
Virginia.
And then you had like the thrash metal scene, like originally the first real, like, I guess, like extreme heavy metal band was a band called Black Task. There was another band called World War III.
Yeah.
Then there was Evil Bitch, who kind of became pretty much, I don't know, they were kind of like the kings of the scene, I would say, as far as like extreme
Right.
metal. They weren't death metal, but playing thrash metal.
Yeah.
So,
Kenny
um
says, gee willikers.
hey, Kenny, what's up, buddy? And it's funny how Kenny, my friend Kenny here, um, he's a bit younger, but he used to go to G Willikers too.
Right.
I remember he told me that he had been there. So I'll have
Yeah.
some news about Kenny too. Eventually, we'll get to that another time. So some cool
Kenny
news.
Kenny was supposed to be on tonight, but he says he
Yeah,
can't be on a podcast in a firehouse, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a little bit more important.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Yeah, I'm just messing with Kenny about me. Yeah, he's in a busy place up there, that's for sure.
Yeah. But to get back to the Philly scene, Philly was mainly known for glam. There was like
Yeah.
bands like Cinderella, Tease,
Mhm.
Tease, a band called Rough House.
Right.
But it was more of that stuff, and there was definitely hardcore as well.
Right.
But it was mainly known for that. So it was nice when you had bands like Anvil Bitch that started to play. There was like our kind of like our L'Amours, I would say.
Right.
It was a club called Empire Rock Club. That's where Cinderella broke to and stuff. That's where I
Oh,
think they were discovered there from Bon Jovi discovered them at the Empire. But Empire was mainly a glam, club,
right.
and it was great when once Anvil Bitch kind of started playing gigs there. I think it
Right.
started opening up the doors for like heavier acts to come in. Even Slayer played there on their first tour.
Really?
Like 30 people, but
Yeah.
it was Haunting the Chapel tour, 1984.
Wow. Wow.
Empire,
So a
I
lot
saw.
of people came through there. And it's surprising to hear like people like Bon Jovi came through there too.
Yeah, I don't think Bon Jovi ever played there, but he was there, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that's where he discovered Cinderella. That's where they
Oh,
got.
gotcha.
I'm pretty sure that's from what I remember. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it was mainly known as like glam, but a lot of heavy bands. Creator played there, Voivod, Celtic Frost.
Right.
Uh, saw Death Angel there in their first tour. Testament played there a bunch of times. Overkill,
Right.
um, Danzig. I don't know, Death, Dark Angel.
Right.
You know, Sepultura. Played there.
I didn't
This-
know that. Well, I
yeah,
did. That's what I texted you about yesterday, right?
yeah. I saw that. Yeah. That's funny. Actually, Sepultura's their first tour of the States. They played at the Empire as well.
I
But
don't I don't know how I haven't and I've heard their stuff before, but I haven't stumbled on it like yesterday. I was like, "What in the world is
yeah,
this?"
that was Kenny. That was actual tour. It was Sepultura and Faith or Fear. That was the tour, and I was there, and that's when I first met the guys in person. All the Sepultura guys. They stayed in Philly for like 2 weeks. And
Wow.
that's a whole other episode. A lot of craziness. Yeah, but
Now, let's talk about Goreaphobia for those that don't know that may be watching. I mean, how did you all form? How long were you how old were you? You were young at the time.
I guess I was like 15, something like that. Yeah,
15. Get
I was
out.
like 15 or 16, maybe something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
So Chris Gamble, who was my partner in the band, he was, I guess, just about a year and a half older than me, something like that. Not even 2 years, like a year and a half, maybe. Yeah. So uh, yeah, yeah, we were kids, man.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the bands too. Like for instance, the band Entombed, which were called Nihilists, they're all the same age as me. All those
Right.
guys, they were kids too. you know,
Wow.
bands like Dismember are all same age, young kids.
Right. Right.
And yeah, it's funny.
It
The age group. I guess that was our music. I think we were kind of the kids that were fed up with the thrash metal scene and how that went because the music just got weaker and the attitude got lost and
yeah.
you know we weren't hearing that coming from those bands. They were just getting more music was getting weaker. We thought and
Right.
yeah, we wanted something more extreme and there's definitely influence from like the extreme hardcore scene too that was in there and hardcore punk stuff and
Right. Right.
just the early black metal stuff like Bathory and Celtic
Right.
Frost and
Right.
Canadian bands like Voivod, all that stuff. Creator, the German thrash bands, Destruction,
Right.
Sodom, Possessed. I mean, all that kind of was our influences, I guess.
Right.
Uh,
So when you
just
all created Goreaphobia, you were just looking to make something darker, harder, more extreme.
yeah, yeah, and Chris was the guy that shared that vision with me, and actually I have to say Henny Petrowski because Henny was in the band pre Goreaphobia Infamy, and then Henny left the band
Right.
and went with Chris's brother Frank because Frank wanted to play hardcore. He didn't want to play the kind of music we were playing. So
Right.
which is fine, you know, you go and do what you want to do. But so I left first. I was like, I'm done, and I'm going to start my own thing.
Right.
And then one day on the phone with Chris, I said, "Do you want to come with me?" "Yeah, I'm down." "All right, let's do this." You know. And then Henny joined. Maybe he joined the band like a year later because we had a different drummer. This guy Mike on drums, singer of Infamy. This guy Kevin Brennan had passed away unfortunately back in 1990. And yeah, and then we got Henny in the band, and then Chris switched to singing in
Right.
1989, I guess. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
89. And then we got Craig in the band too because the drummer quit, you know.
Right.
And so then we got Craig, and that was that lineup. And then Henny left, and then we got John Litchko, which
Right.
we're working on. Let's see, not sure what's up.
I think he gave up.
Gave up.
I think he did stuff.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe he's
Um,
caught in the Microsoft debacle.
Possible. Who knows? Yeah. He's a
That's
pretty
good. I think this is still
guy.
I'm entertained.
Yeah.
It's funny
So
because you and I always joke like this is like our phone conversations.
yeah. But,
Did he text you?
no, I haven't heard from him. Anybody got any questions?
Well, I haven't. I did throw it up there.
Zero the Hero, McFunknels. Oh my God. Now that is my good friend John Verica. And to speak of G. Willikers and all, John pretty much documented the whole early death metal scene. Not back then, not too many people had video cameras to film everything. And John basically documented so much historical shows. And also, John did the first ever death metal video zine, which was called Decaying Visions. You know, yes, there he is.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so John is another one of the, you know, and also even before that, you know, John was so much. He was a part of that Empire Rock Club
Right.
shows, and saw a lot of amazing classic shows. And you know, he lived in South Philly, a few blocks from the Spectrum, so he got to see all those classic shows too, the
Oh,
arena
wow.
shows. And
Yeah.
we can have John on at some point. He'd have a lot to talk about as far as this, not guitar stuff, but, you know, just a lot of the classic shows he saw. You know, he saw a lot
Yeah.
of amazing stuff. You know, like
Yeah. He's trying to get back in.
yeah,
And I could see his name popped up down there, but it's his device is not connected.
yeah.
It, his internet's having a tough time tonight.
I would go back to the phone. The phone worked perfectly. So
It did.
yeah, but
We should. What? Well, where's Kenny in all of this?
well, Kenny is a bit younger, you know,
Yeah.
but Kenny, you know, he's part of a, you know, he had a band called Seven Heads, which I
Yeah.
wouldn't know how to explain Seven Heads. I guess like kind of Melvins kind of vibe. If anybody's familiar with the Melvins, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and Kenny's done a lot of, you know, been a lot of cover bands, a lot of his own solo music and all. Yeah, Kenny's definitely one of the Philly staple guys, you know, of the, you know, the hard working live scene, you know, club scene in Philly for many
Right.
years. Guy plays every instrument as well.
Yeah. I watch him on social media, and it he's kind of living the life that I lived at the end. And you and I used to talk about it. Like the guitar guys would go like, "You're in the fire department," and the fire guys would go like, "You do guitars?" I watched him, and he's like that dude's he's in the metal, man. That's a metal dude right there. And
Oh,
you know, playing you could see him playing his instruments and with his bands and doing all the stuff, very active on social media. And I look at him, I was like, wow, well,
yeah,
maybe made a blast what he is. I don't know.
yeah. He's into everything too. You know,
Yeah.
like me. You know, like he's a music fan. like I told him, I was talking to Kenny the other night, and I was telling him when I first saw him that I can remember, was that he had a Yes T-shirt, and he's a bit younger, and I see this kid with a Yes T-shirt. I was like, that
Uh-huh.
he's damn cool. He's got a Yes shirt on. I'm a
Yep.
big Yes, and so I was just like,
Yeah.
wow, this is cool, and especially somebody younger into Yes, which is just
Yeah.
I didn't see too much,
Right. Right.
and yeah.
I'm not ignoring you. I'm watching it. He keeps coming in
Oh,
and going out. He's closer. And it looks
okay.
like he's almost, all right, I'm going to try it. It says add the stage, maybe
Oh, wait, something's happening here.
something, maybe
Might be his internet.
it could be. Yeah. All
Just
right. I'll
circle.
just keep him down here off stage. He just disappeared again. He's obviously having internet issues.
Maybe I would try. I would try your phone, John. The
Is that
phone was
your,
fine.
that's your tech support answer?
Well, yeah, I thought it worked fine. The phone, so it works.
Messing with you. Yeah, he's coming back in again
I don't
now. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh,
Poof.
oh, that's an inside joke.
I thought it meant like poof, he's gone again. All right, so what guitar stuff do you want to talk about? You always have something to talk about with guitar. What guitar stuff do you want to talk?
What new guitar stuff?
What have you seen interesting this week?
Hmm. Um, I've been looking at a lot of our favorite guitar company, Gibson SGs, actually.
Yeah,
And
you're itching for one.
yeah, so I've been looking at a lot of old 60s SG juniors, I guess. And yeah, that's like a bucket list guitar. So I've been, I wish I had a lot of money to
Yeah,
buy some of these old vintage,
yeah.
SGs. But yeah, I don't know. I've just been taking a look at some cool, of course, old guitars. I've been looking at and just
Right.
nerding over. You know.
Cody wants you to talk about your Aero guitars.
Well, I have to say that it's funny because my guitarist Bob played an Arrow, and when I first joined Immolation, I purposely didn't get one because he played one. Not that he didn't want me to play one. It was just like this was like, yeah, I have something different, and I'm a V guy, and so I played. I got like the double Arrow, which I'm. Yes, it says John says it keeps telling him he's backstage. Of course, we got to let you on.
Yeah, but he is backstage, but it's never like when they come in and they have a good connection, I can see their face and it's just saying trying to connect.
Yeah.
Tell them to come on the stage.
Yeah. So yeah, to get back to the arrows, I didn't play. I really didn't even try out one for years. So my guitarist Henny Petrosky in Shadows, he has a custom shop arrow, and because I've been having nerve problems over the years, I tried out his, and it was so light that I was like, wow, So I borrowed it actually for when I went on tour with Obituary,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, he's going to try again now.
Yeah, I'll keep watching. Go ahead.
So yeah, so fast forward, wound up contacting my rep at ESP, Tony, and I said I need these guitars. So they sent me two of them that I have right now, and I swear it's the most comfortable V that I've ever played. To be honest with you, it's just I don't know why I wasted so many years not checking them out,
Right.
and I should have, and yeah, it's just such a comfortable V, and just an amazing instrument, really. I swear by it. And it's just so comfortable to use live, too, as well. Yeah, I absolutely love them, and I love all different shapes of V's, but yeah, it's definitely the nicest feeling V I've ever played. But yeah, any progress with John? Oh,
Yeah, see, this is there.
oh,
He is.
there he is.
Is it working? I can't hear shit.
You can't hear us? No?
Can you hear us? Um.
Oh, he froze.
Oh, he did. Yeah, it may be his echo.
It says, I'm in the show. Everyone can
Yeah, I can hear you.
see anybody.
Oh, he can't hear it. It has to be a connection issue. Maybe he should try his phone again. Oh, there he is. Can you hear us now?
Oh, now, yes.
There you
Oh.
go. There you go.
Cool.
Oh,
Finally.
God, thanks. That was like fucking pulling teeth.
Alex has been telling so many stories and lies about you. It's getting so bad. I'm getting pissed off.
I'll let you know what's lies or not.
Well, so long story short, welcome to the show, John. And John, this is
Thank
my
you.
co-host, and yeah,
Hi,
so
Roger.
long
It's
story
good to
short,
meet you, John.
I was saying earlier that me and you spoke, I guess it was about a week ago that you texted me and told me the sad news about Brian Batson passing away. And
Yeah, man. Yeah.
and then
Sucks.
yeah, and then we got into talking and we were like, when you on the phone, like, hey, it'd be cool to have like a show on the a couple people from our early scene on the show. And unfortunately we couldn't get everybody on, but we do got you on tonight, which I'm glad. And maybe we could do that in the future, and get you on. But yeah, I mean, your whole history, I mean, yeah, I guess let's you could share a little bit on our fallen friend Brian, how you met him and stuff. I know you guys were really close, and yeah.
Yeah, I met him. I met him in school. He was in a grade above me, and he was like mutual friends with some other friends that I had, and then like I seen him later on hanging out like in the neighborhood, and because my friend Tony was seeing his neighbor, this girl Kim, and then he would go over there and we would go over there and hang out and whatever, and Brian would be sitting on his step playing his guitar. And I noticed he played left-handed style, like I do. And
Yeah, that's
and
right.
he was one of the inspirations that for me to play. Besides the music I listened to, but as far as like somebody I knew that played, and he was fucking good as fuck too, man. Excuse my
Yeah,
English. He was really good player, man. It's really a pity that he couldn't have pursued more of it and utilize his talent for more, but we all have limited time on this plane, in this simulation, whatever whatever it may be.
Yeah, I forgot that he was he was another lefty. And I remember when Goreaphobia was doing, we were for a short period of time we were rehearsing at the drummer No Reason's house, and Abolish was rehearsing there at the same time. And I remember he had this Brian, and I was a big, Jackson Randy Rhoads
Joe
guy.
Miller,
yeah, and Brian had a Jackson,
another one that did
Randy Rhoads lefty, which was seeing a lefty Randy Rhoads,
yeah,
obscure,
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jackson. Did you see him playing it? Did you actually see him playing that guitar? Or you saw the guitar?
It was the Arbor he had, the Arbor guitar.
Dude, that fucking Arbor is great. That guitar is awesome, man. Take me as a lefty, like I played that thing a few times, and it's fucking And I'm not even
Well,
like, I don't even like Strat shapes, whatever, too much, man. But that guitar plays fucking awesome.
yeah, I remember he was telling me, like, I was just like, why aren't you playing the Jackson, man? And he was just like, oh, that guitar is fucked up and this and that, and it was like brand new, and you know, he
Yeah,
had,
I never knew the problem with that guitar. It might have been like, I'm just speculating, but it was probably the neck or something. Because like whatever it was, it probably would have cost him a lot to get it fixed, and I don't think he ever did.
yeah,
As
that guitar
far
was
as I
probably
knew,
pretty,
though, he still
you know, custom shop
pretty what?
lefty. It was
Oh
probably
yeah,
super expensive guitars back then.
yeah. I don't know how much he paid for it, but yeah, it must have been really fucking. Probably worth like. It's probably worth way more now if it's if it can be rendered playable or whatever. I don't know what the deal is with it though. I'll say
Wow.
something about that arbor. That arbor, real quick, had an interesting feature. Well, for one, it was a Strat, but it didn't have like this. It had a humbucker, whatever, Dave Murray or whatever, But the tremolo was it was just like a what do you call it? What's the one Gary Holt uses?
Floyd Rose.
And you use too, yeah, Floyd Rose. It was just like a Floyd Rose, but it was a fucking Kaler of all things.
Oh yeah.
That's right. They
Which
did
was
make some.
interesting. It wasn't
Kevlar
set
tried it.
up like a regular.
Yeah, they
Yeah, it
were
wasn't like
like,
a regular Kaler.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
And that was
remember
old,
them.
that guitar. That was like 86 he got that guitar.
Wow.
Something
Right.
like that. Maybe before that, 83, 84. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's
Do you know where Arbor was made? Those guitars? Do you know the history of those
I, I
guitars?
I don't know. Nope.
Yeah.
I know it was a custom. It was sort of like a custom or semi-custom guitar.
Mhm.
But or they did customs or something, I think. I don't know. I'll have to look up Arbor one of these days just out of curiosity and see what the fuck, what
No,
they're
feel
up
free
to,
to
if
talk
anything.
amongst yourselves, and I'll look it up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's dig deep back and talk about you for a bit, and get into, can you tell me how you got into music, and what was the what was, was there a moment when you were like, I want to play guitar. That's what I want to do.
It was probably around the time I met Brian.
Oh
Well,
wow.
no, it was probably before that, but he helped push me further into that direction. You know what I'm saying? But like when I was a kid, listening to what was I was into Kiss a lot when I was young. Like I'm talking about like in the '70s and like
Right.
Kiss and Queen and Aerosmith and only later on I got into Zeppelin and Sabbath and stuff. I mean, I'm sure I like kind of heard that stuff on the radio, but I didn't have any access to it. I didn't have any of their records. My cousins turned me on to Kiss and Queen and what I say, Aerosmith
Hmm.
and that kind of thing. And I always like the heavier, the better. As like
Yeah.
I was going on in life, everything I heard that was heavier, I wanted to hear that shit. I wanted to hear what was the limits to it or whatever. You know what I mean? The heavier, the better.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I was into Kiss is everybody said they were devils. I was going to burn in hell listening to them and stuff like that.
It
Nice
must be good.
Satan service. And for a minute, I believed it. And because I was brought up Catholic and stuff, so I was like, "Oh man, I'm burning hell right." And, I guess I'll find out when I get there, or otherwise.
Yeah. It's funny because
But
you were saying that, like certain people, like about the heavier music and stuff. And I was saying earlier on the show about meeting you for the first time. And if I'm correct, it was at a party. And it was probably December '89, something like that. And it was with Abolish.
party. I was
With
gonna say,
Abolish.
yeah, Brian was there. It was for another fallen friend of ours, this dude Vinny. We would like once a year kind of celebrate being friends with him, post, humorous. Because obviously he
Yeah.
was already passed away, but like he died young. He had kidney problems and stuff. But he was into some killer like underground shit. He loved like Venom and Voivod and shit like that. And we all did in them days coming up. Venom, Voivod, Exodus, Slayer, you know,
Yeah.
Metallica, old Metallica, you know, of course, Sabbath and Priest and Motorhead, and Merciful Fate. That's just,
Right.
we loved all that stuff. And we would play these shows. Well, yeah, we played the year after that. Anyway, you guys played Goreaphobia and Abolish, played there, as you said. And that's the first time I met you, I'm pretty sure, yeah. And Frank's brother Chris. I already knew Frank, you know, 'cause we were already jamming a little bit.
Yeah, I was telling Roger, you know, that, you know, when I met you, it was like, oh, here's another guy that's thinks the way I do, you know, because you know, I remember you just like you dug what we were doing, and you know, it was
Yeah, I
because
needed to.
it wasn't anybody that were into the stuff, you know, how we saw metal, you know, like how extreme we wanted it to, you know, music to be,
Yeah,
and so it was
it was
nice
all
to.
it was all my quest for heaviness, dude. You know what I mean? Like I needed a kind of a direction to take my, you know, whatever I can come up with riffs or whatever. You know, and like I was getting a little fed up with the thrash scene at the time. You know what I mean? Everything started to sound the same, and the bands that I liked were getting weird and shit. You know, with the exception of
Yeah.
like Slayer, they kind of kept it with it for a little while. You know, but
Yeah.
Metallica started slacking a little bit for me, and I wasn't hearing a lot of good stuff. I was hearing like Atrophy and stuff. And no offense to Atrophy, but I wasn't into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I heard like through you guys, through Frank probably was the gateway for me because he connected me with you guys, you know. And before that, like I was like into death, and I was still into like, you know, like the bands I mentioned before: Venom, Exodus, Slayer, Celtic Frost, lots of fate, all that kind of thing. But then I started hearing stuff like Autopsy and Morbid Angel. Morbid Angel was a big deal for me because I didn't know fucking drums could be played. It was a big deal for me and Frank and the rest, all of us, really. You know, Eggy and Andy,
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Market. And when we heard you guys, it was another fucking thing. It was like, okay, this is something that I want to pursue, you know, like as far as taking it to the next level, it's and heavy and fast and evil. You know, it had to sound evil. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
no
Yeah.
happy shit, no fucking happy beats or anything like that.
Right.
I couldn't stand when
Composer
drummers
shit.
would play happy beats. I couldn't stand when drummers would do happy beats over. Like I would write this killer riff and it sounds super evil in my head, and then I go and play it with a drummer. I'm not gonna mention any names in particular, but fucking it would get like, what is? No, you're making my riff sound like shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to play
You
on the
were
down. Or
John. You were a Paul Baloff. You were. You just tell anybody like you're a fucking poser.
Slicing jaws, a way of life. Route to waste mankind. Something like that.
Yeah. But you know, like I was saying earlier, you know, we're trying to kill some time a little bit before you came on, and so you know, you guys really were. Necrotion was the second death metal band. It was us, and then you guys, you know, in Philly, and
yeah,
you know, we
and I was in both of them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
The first and second. So.
Yeah, you know, and yeah, it's you know, it's cool, you know, and then you went off to do a lot of other interesting bands, like for instance, Symphony of Grief, which you know I know is like has a pretty big, large cult following, you know, over the years, and I don't know if
Yeah,
you're aware
so
of
I
that.
hear. So
You
yeah,
know,
I hear that. I hear that once in a while by a few people.
yeah, yeah. For our viewers may not know, but John doesn't follow anything that goes on. You know, he's not. You know, he's stuck in 1985, right? Where it's good place, you know.
Really?
I mean, I don't hear a lot of newer stuff that's coming out because I don't follow the scene. You know, it's like there's, you know, death metal, black metal, whatever. There's. I'm not saying there ain't good stuff out there, but I don't get to hear it much because I just don't go looking for it.
Yeah.
Right.
So why
I'm
don't
happy
tell
with
us
it. And to be honest with you, I don't listen to. Sometimes I don't listen to a lot of music, and because I don't. And sometimes, like my contemporaries, for instance, I don't like to listen to my contemporaries' music because I don't want to be influenced.
yeah,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Michael
I'll
Schenker
listen
says,
to it. I'll listen to it, but I won't listen to it like over and over. Like I'll listen to it like, yeah, it's killer or whatever. But like if I end up getting into it, I don't want to sound like the band down the street or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
sure,
So
I get that.
I don't really listen to it
I
much.
would assume you're pretty much playing guitar, most of the time, just coming up with your own stuff, and most of the time.
Yeah, and where it comes from, I don't know. Like it just comes from the firmament somewhere, or sometimes it can be. I might hear a jingle or a movie theme or an orchestra, a part of an orchestra arrangement, symphony. You know what I mean? And sometimes that kind of thing comes out. I love like Stravinsky and stuff like that. It's killer.
Sure. So why don't we get into a little bit how Necrotion started? The original lineup of the band, and going into the first demo being recorded.
Yeah, well, it started off with Joe Young, Eggy, knocked on my door, and I knew him from high school, but it was a few years later. I guess I was like 19. I just recently got. I might as well show you. Hold on, I'm pulling it out. I'm pulling it out. It's not what you think, but
I don't know where we're going with this.
Kicked off the air.
Don't
please.
worry. Don't worry. We're keeping it. We'll keep it rated R. No, it won't go beyond that. This I got. I'll get back to how we got together, but this I got.
Oh, Alex.
Yeah, that is a great guitar, Roger. That is.
Oh, Alex is going to be surfing the net.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Yeah. Look at that.
I abuse this fucking thing like you wouldn't believe, man. Anyway, I got this about.
Nice. Relic. That is relic by the man right there. That's self-relic.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, I love it. I love this fucking thing. Still the greatest guitar I ever had. Huh?
When you were trying to get connected, Alex was talking about wanting a SG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you go pull one out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in my room. This is where I keep some of my gear anyway, and
oh, that's nice, man.
Plus, I figured since it's a gear show, I'll bring it out. Look at that chrome still, man.
And I remember when that guitar was still
1985 Gibson SG. It was white, now it's like bone colored.
Oh, that's so nice.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I love this fucking thing. These aren't the original knobs. These are they're Gibson knobs, but they're not. It came with the speed knobs.
Yeah.
And these machine heads are not the original either. I still have them, but they were kind of one of them. They're them ones that like have like a fucking. It's like that weird casing on the back.
Oh yeah.
The old school Gibson ones. And one of these like spinners here are loose, so I can't use them really because I'll go out of tune.
Did the neck break on that at one point, John?
Yes.
Or am I? Yeah.
Yeah, twice it fucking broke, but in the same spot. I fixed it. First, I fixed it myself with crazy glue, and which I didn't even think would be possible, and I was super happy. And then it broke again, and then I had Ron Zebster from Bassinator.
Bassinator, another band.
Or he worked. I think he worked at Ibanez or something, and he took him. I gave him the guitar. That was after the second time. He gave him the guitar, and they squeezed some epoxy in there. There's still like runs where they squeezed it in and never wiped it off.
Nice. Yeah. Fascinator, that's another band I got to mention.
Yeah.
one of the early.
But
earlier,
yo, even with yeah, absolutely, yeah, and I was into them too. My buddy Tony helped write lyrics for one of the songs. I can't remember the
their
song.
demo too. That demo was great. You know?
Yeah, they did Acting Like Black Sabbath and Big O Abortions, and it's got like that riff from Buffalo. You ever hear the band Buffalo? The song Shylock. It's like, whoa, Shylock.
No,
And it's got a riff that goes. The riff goes. Dan, 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 dan. It's like real Sabbathy and shit. And so Big O Abortions took the riff from the Buffalo and wrote a song called "Acting Like Black Sabbath." Fucking hilarious. Anyway,
oh
that's
yeah, abortions.
a Bassinator covered that one. But John Hebert, we used to call him John Hubert back in the day.
Yep. Yeah,
And Brian Rush on drums, who ended up in Abolish at some point.
Right.
Yeah. And Ron on bass, right?
Like I said, Ron Zepster on bass. Yeah, and I forget the name. Of the singer. I know they were managed by Joe Arcolano, but I don't remember the name of the singer.
Mm-hmm. And then John Hubert became the guitarist in Dominance, which was the band that was, people don't know.
Came from Anvil Pitch.
Yeah. So Anvil Bitch became Dominance, and John joined Dominance, and another great guitar player, SG player as well. And,
SG player, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Phenomenal player, John. Great songwriter. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, me and you ran into him at Black Sabbath a few years back. Remember? I think at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I don't remember which Sabbath. I don't remember which show it was, but yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So let's
was it
get
the Tony Martin one? I don't
know. No, it was a reunion show.
Oh,
so
okay.
John Verkin remembers Buffalo. So of course John knows. You know.
Yeah, Buffalo is great.
Yeah.
Cool. What's up, John?
So yeah. Has any questions they can find?
Anyway, Eggy knocked on my door and he said, "What are you doing? You jamming?" I said, "Yeah, I got a new guitar recently." And he's like, "You want to get a band together, or whatever?" I said, "Yeah, I guess so. You know, we'll do something." And he's like, "I got a drummer." Or I might have said I have a bass player or whatever first, and that was Andrew Markwood, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew a drummer, which was Frank Gamble. And then the four of us got together, and that's how it started.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
then,
then fast forward to the demo.
That was the original.
Let's talk about the demo.
Okay.
The recording of it, you know. If you can, if you have any memories of that.
I do. First, I'll set it up with the band changed a little bit. We end up parting ways with Andy, unfortunately at the time, but that's what happened. And then Joe just disappeared. Joe Young just disappeared. So me and Frank carried on, and we got a bass player, and we were a three-piece for most of our early existence. And we got 2 songs together, went into the studio. It was the same studio that you guys went in with Goreaphobia. That's how I knew about it, because I was there with you guys. And then we went in and with John Loveridge, Snugfit Studio.
Yeah, rest in peace, John.
Another one, a guy that passed away. Yeah, another one. Rest in peace. Great fucking engineer, that guy. Awesome. Awesome.
Oh,
yeah, he can make you sound great. He can make somebody who didn't know what they were doing like us sound great. You know. And I use that Gibson SG. I use that SG, man, for years since. I only retired it maybe, I don't know, late 2000s. You know, 2008, 9. You know.
Yeah. So what was the rig?
Semi-retired.
Do you remember the rig?
Yeah, I had earlier before when I jammed with you guys, I needed to get a half stack, so I got a Sundown. It's called. I went to Symphoni's, this music store that it was near me that we all knew about. So I went there. I had some money in the bank, and I spent like $600 on a half stack. It's called a Sundown 50-watt tube head, right? And it had Celestian speakers and all in the cab, which is great, and had a great sound, great fucking sound. I ended up fucking getting rid of it, which is stupid, but at the time it sounded great, and that's what the guitar tone from the first demo is: the sundown head with the sundown cab with the Gibson going through Boss distortion and then into an EQ, Boss graphic EQ, and then into the head and the clean side of the head, because I used the distortion from the box, not from the head, because I didn't know how to fucking use it.
I think that goes for a lot of back then. We would like use the distortion pedals, and I mean, it was hard to get a high gain amp too back then. You had to mod the amps, to get it super gainy too.
Yeah, maybe. I never really fucked with that channel too much. I should have. If I still had that head, I would have mashed it. Like some of them, even though they have kind of maybe less preamp range or whatever than some of the more modern amps, you can get, if you use an EQ, maybe you can crisp that up. You know what I mean? And they'll brighten it up and give you a little more crunch. You know what I'm saying? So, or a wah pedal turned all the way up. That'll do it too.
Yeah. Actually, the first wah pedal I ever tried was yours, because I never.
Was it the cry?
It was your wah pedal, I remember, and I didn't know how to do it. I was just like, "What the fuck is going on here?" This is, and that's a whole art form in itself. Just learning how to use the, and how it functions.
Yeah, and then if you have to sing at the same time too, that's even more crazy.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Well,
I used to call that the crackle baby, the cry baby, because it would every now and then it would go crack up and shit. So.
I was testing out a new set of pickups I made a couple weeks ago, and I couldn't get them to sound right. Somebody had come through and had mine half cracked, and it took me about an hour to figure it out. I was like, what the hell is wrong with these pickups? They don't sound right. It sounded nasally. And after about an hour, I looked at it and it's about halfway up. I clicked it. It sounded right again. Yeah.
The wah pedal you're talking about.
Yeah, wah pedal. Yeah. Somebody had it about halfway. Somebody came through testing.
That'll do it.
Yeah,
that would drive me nuts if I didn't know. I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with my sound?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Oh, your wah pedal's on.
Testing out a new set of pickups. It's like, holy shit, I did everything like I've done it every other time, but this set sounds like garbage. And messed around with them. That's what it was. Wah pedal.
Yeah. Well, I could see that happening. That can make a difference for sure.
Aggravating as shit, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any questions, I think we have 7 watching us right now. It's kind of fluctuating up and down. That's why I've been kind of quiet. I've been watching the numbers back and forth here, trying to put the comments. I think you all been seeing them.
That's cool. I've seen Eggy got on there, but I guess he's not showing his face.
Yeah.
Is that this one?
There he is.
All wrote. That's it. Yeah, that's the Egg Man.
He popped it up.
Nobody said we didn't.
Well, wait a minute. What's the first one mean? The poof.
Or
poof? Is that not for TV?
Oh, I know what poof refers to, but I'm not going to talk about
poof.
Poof.
So
somebody disappeared like Hendini. Henny. Houdini.
Oh yeah. Poof. So how about getting a little bit into Symphony of Grief, and how did that come about? How did that band start?
Well, at some point, Necrotion just kind of fell apart, and Andy he called me up or whatever, wanted to get together some kind of band, like a new project or whatever. We didn't have a name for it or anything yet, and he had a drum machine And I'm like, man, I'd rather have like a real drummer or whatever, but there wasn't any. And we were into like stuff like Godflesh and shit. So I was like, okay, we'll do something with it, And so it was the same drum machine too that they used, a Roland R8, and at least on the street cleaner or whatever. And we just started writing stuff, And Andy had the idea of like, well, let's do it kind of like doomier than like Necrotion was, more kind of slow, but it was still death, like kind of because it was the vocals were, deep, aggressive, kind of growling vocals. So death, doom, whatever. People called us, our manager called us death, doom, grind. We weren't so much grind. I mean, we used blast beats, but I don't know. I don't know if you call it grind. Grind's a little more kind of hardcore to me, sound wise. You know what I mean?
I would agree.
It wasn't anything like Terror. It wasn't anything like Terrorizer or Napalm Death. It was more like, it was kind of like Necrosion slowed down, but with a drum machine in a way.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely elements were in there for sure,
Yeah, and the same bass tone that we had when Andy was in Necrosion too. So,
So Kenny Sheffel asks, what is the best stomp box for death metal? What would you say, John?
Nothing that says death metal. Nothing that says death metal on it. Because if you need a death metal pedal, you're not death metal.
I agree. You know what? I got one right here. There you go.
Well, you're allowed though, because
Yeah.
Nothing that says I don't shit on it.
You all don't have anything?
What's that?
What's the answer? What do you all think?
Yeah. I only told you what wasn't the answer. Okay.
Right. Well, it wasn't me. It's Kenny.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty of owning. Hold on. I'm guilty of owning a metal zone. It doesn't make me metal, but I can get a good sound out of it.
Yeah.
And what I mentioned earlier, what I used was if you're going to use a pedal, sometimes you don't need a pedal. If you got enough drive from your head, just make sure your gain's turned up to not too far, because it'll just be noisy fucking shit. But turn your gain up, use your foot switch. That's kind of a pedal. And that's for me. That's what I do now.
Yeah, I would say
it was. I had
even a tube screamer with a gainy amp. You just put that tube screamer on there.
Yeah,
and, that.
Yeah, that'll help. Or an overdrive, even if you have the gain already. If you're going clean, if you're going through a clean channel, right? Whatever amp you're using, tube or solid state, whatever it is. I ran the Boss DS2. Right, that's what I think that's what it is. The orange one, right? Boss DS2 through the Boss.
DS1, that's mine. DS1.
The DS1, right? DS1, right? It was the one. DS1 first, guitar DS1, and then the fucking EQ to kind of crunch that sound up a little bit. It gives it a little more character, a little more high end, but a little more gain too. I think, and low end too. Or later on, when I did Perverseraph, I had the Metal Zone pedal, which kind of did both. It had the distortion, enough distortion, plenty of distortion, a shitload of distortion.
Yeah.
And it also had a parametric EQ built in. So it was just like one unit instead of two pedals, which was fine. A lot of people slag the Metal Zone, but I can get a good sound out of it,
Right.
But it's in the hands, it's in your head, it's how you play, it's how you want to write stuff. And your amp is huge. The amp is fucking huge.
Yeah. So when did you switch from the Sundown to the Laney? Because I remember there was like a transition there, I think.
It was probably about maybe a year into having the Sundown that I think I might have. I sold it because I needed money for something or whatever, and I ended up getting. I got this right here. Also, right?
Yeah.
That was my second. That's my second head. It says Perverseraph on it, but underneath it says Maney, and that's on the back.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Necrotion, fucking super old sticker there. All fucking faded and falling apart. But this fucking thing sounds great too. And it was like it's only 50 watts, but it's enough. And it was like $250 brand new back in 91.
Wow. Imagine that. You know, think about it. $250.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might have been early 92, but it was around that time. And that's what I used to record the 7-inch songs that we did. The 2 songs with the 7-inch record. Prelude to Apocalypse. The Disciples of Mockery stole that name, by the way. I'm saying it now. No hard feelings, though.
And some people may not know that, you know, you guys actually were going to, I believe you guys were going to be signed to Osmos Productions back then, and something fell through with the label. You know, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he didn't like the direction we went in when we did the 7-inch. That was part of it. It just it just kind of fizzled out, which is a pity. But the band fell apart too. You know, the last iteration of Necrotion in 92 was Frank quit. So, but we still had Dave Nidris on bass. I didn't mention that earlier. We had Dave Nidris. So it was me, Dave Nidris, Jason Hildebrand of Cemetery Earth, rather, and Chris Kwiatkowski, also from the same band. And then that band just fell apart after that. So I couldn't really fulfill a contract to Osmos anyway, because I didn't have any fucking, the bands just fell apart. I tried to keep it together with different things and trying different people, see how we get things to work, but it never worked out.
Yeah.
So that was the Osmos thing in a nutshell.
So I guess, we can get into Perverseraph as well. And when did that start about? Because, you did Symphony of Grief for a few years with Andy, and then you started Perverseraph, which is, definitely different musical direction, more chaotic and definitely more black metal, ish sound, but still like more a lot of dissonant riffs, and which, you're known for a lot of that kind of stuff. But, Perverseraph was even more like chaotic and, a lot of this crazy dissonant chords and things like that. So, was there, content that you wanted it created more chaotic, than anything you did before? Like, was that something you had an idea about, or was this a natural thing?
Yeah, it was kind of a direction I wanted to go while I was even still in Symphony of Grief. Actually, towards the end of Necrotion, I had songs written, and maybe 2 songs almost fully realized, but they ended up never getting used for Necrotion. Anyway, I came up with the name Perverseraph back then too. And I was thinking to myself, eventually this is the direction it's going to go, because it started getting, as you said, more dissonant, more chaotic, more kind of just strange and progressive. And I wanted it to be not that much progressive. And some people would say it, but I wanted it to be twisted and evil. You know what I mean? And I had the name Perverseraph just laying around. And Symphony of Grief was going on. And I was also thinking, after Symphony of Grief's, when I go to the next project I do, it's going to be faster, because Symphony of Grief was obviously slow, kind of doom stuff, and which is great, but I wanted to play, fucking fast fucking kind of shit. So that's what I did. And Frank was on board with it too. And he was already jamming a little bit with Jim Downey, and ended up doing Namtaro. I came in and joined up with that in the interim before I started Perverseraph, and whatever. And it just kind of, it branched into Perverseraph. So Frank was on board with Perverseraph. It was me and him, and I had Jim come in. So it was me, Frank, and Jim at first. I had 3 songs that I wrote. One of them was one of the old Necrotion songs, that like parts of it. That ended up being Kaziklu Bay. That was the second song on the Perverseraph demo. The other 2 songs were written fairly quickly while I was in the Antaru. And it just went from there. And then we had Chuck Sherwood on bass come in. That's when I first met him, because Jim knew him. Jim and the singer Tim Day, another one that passed away, rest in peace, from the Antaru. They knew Chuck. Chuck came into Perverseraph. There wasn't a lot of action with Chuck at first, because he was in school out in Pittsburgh or something. And like, he would get together with us when he could. So the first Perverseraph demo we ended up doing at Vortex Sound with Jim Forbes, who we worked with in Symphony of Grief earlier, in that decade. And so we went in to record that. Jim played the bass and second guitar, and I played the guitar. I don't know if Jim plays the lead. I don't remember, but anyway, and then Frank played the drums, and I did the vocals, and it was killer. I love that. I love that Perverseraph shit. I mean, I like all our stuff, but I like that.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about it, I'm mentioning it.
So how, let's now get to the present now that, you got the Corrosion back together, and you got some new music recorded as well. Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah. Me and Joe, we did Necrosion again in I think it was 2007 or 8. We resurrected it then for a short period of time, and it was Frank again on drums, and we had Mike Trush on bass. We recorded 3 songs for that. 2 of them, only one's really officially been released. There's 2 other ones floating around. Eventually, we'll put them out. That we recorded at Snug Fit again. We revisited John at Snug Fit. That is pretty good, but like I said, it still hasn't been put out. Eventually, we're going to put it out. There was some issues with some editing that needed to be done, and that's done now. So anyway, then we kind of always kept it going in the background. Like, there would always be ideas. Joe would have riffs, I would have riffs, and we would make arrangements and stuff. And sometimes they would pan out, and sometimes they wouldn't. Or sometimes, like, I had a riff in particular. So fucking, I don't know, must have been 15 years just floating around. I love the riff, but I never could seem to get it in to a song anywhere. And it wasn't kind of a main riff thing. It was kind of a riff that was just like, just something that you don't want to overuse, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So we eventually used it on one of the 3 newer songs that we got completed. And we ended up running, Joe put an ad in Band Mix for a drummer. And we got in touch with this guy, Dave Latchaverse. We worked with Dave for a while. We had some ideas. We got 3 songs down. And we had Mike Trush on bass again. And we got the 3 songs done in the studio. Dave did a great job. The songs sound, I like the songs quite a bit. And we all contributed a little bit, to everything, really. A little bit here and there, a little, Me and Joe had most of the ideas, but Dave had a couple ideas. Mike had a couple ideas, and we put it together. I don't know. I'm pretty happy with it.
Cool, man. Yeah. So we're going to see some new music.
Anyway, that stuff, that's That stuff is not released yet either, but it is complete, and it should be coming out soon on something somewhere. Somebody's putting it out. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to. No pressure on nobody. Just but it's gonna be out soon.
Cool.
Cool. Awesome.
And if you look on YouTube for Necrotion, you'll find one of the songs that we did. I put up on YouTube. It's called "Son of Dog." So instead of "Son of God," it's "Son of Dog." So anybody has any interest, they can check that out.
Well, I could say I've heard the stuff, everybody, and I think it's fantastic. I think it's some of the best stuff the band's ever done, and yeah. So
Thanks,
wait
man. I
to
appreciate that.
See it get out there, So
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of sweat and blood and anger went into it. And we recorded the drums at with Diane Zako at what was her studio? I can't remember the name of her studio, but I got it closed down, unfortunately. And then I ended up recording. We took the drums, and I had a program at the time. My computer got fried, so I fucking lost that. But I ended up recording the guitars, the bass, the drum, or not the drums. I mixed the drums somewhat. Guitars, bass, and vocals, and lead solos and whatever. And I did that on my own in my own studio at the time, the Dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? Oh yeah, and then we had eventually Jim Rowe mixed it. So thank you.
That's right. Yeah, Mr. Rowe.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it sounds like I said. I've heard it. And it sounds great, man.
Oh, and Joe and Mike did some killer backing vocals too on that one, and contributed to some of the lyrics. Yeah. And Dave did too, some of the lyrics.
Since we know we have somebody that's younger in here watching in the comments tonight, what advice do you all give somebody that's an up and comer looking to get into this, get into a band, get into this music industry, into death metal, the metal scene?
Have fun doing it.
Yeah.
It's hard to say when you're older like me to tell a young person, but have fun, be excited about what you're doing, and love what you're doing. Do it with passion. Don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know what to say. I don't know what to say too much about it.
I think that's a great answer because because when you set yourself up with high expectations, like, oh, we're going to be this and we're going to be that, you're setting yourself up for failure. And do it because
but you gotta have that to drive yourself. But I don't know. But you're going to run the risk. You got to have high expectations, though. You're going to run that risk, and it's just so be it. If you fail, at least you gave it a shot. And there's a spectrum of failure. You can fail really spectacularly, or you can have okay, this didn't work out, but that doesn't mean don't give up. You know what I mean? You shouldn't give up. Right? Just keep.
Yeah, I agree.
But as long as it's fun, if it becomes a pain in the ass and you get fed up and you're fucking disillusioned or whatever, then walk away, take a break from it, or just get into something else. You can always go back to it later, or maybe you'll find a different path in life that suits you better.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes, and Alex, you and I talk about this, and it happens with everything, is if you don't have fun, like eventually you can make it into a job, and then it's shitty. You can make anything into a job. You have to have fun doing it.
Well, then it's not a job. Then it's a hobby that you make money at. If you really enjoy it, You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Like I do real hard, brutal fucking concrete work for a living, right? And sometimes it sucks fucking big time, but other times it's rewarding, you know. But I do it for the money, you know. I'm a fucking whore for it, you know. Like who the fuck ain't, right?
That's
So, no, I'm not a whore with my sex organs. I'm not a whore with my sex organs. I'm a whore with these fucking organs. You know what I mean? And I gotta fucking work my balls off to make money.
Yeah.
Metaphorically speaking.
And then you come home and you pour that aggression and, you know, into the music,
Yeah.
you know, you love, you know.
Yep.
You know, so John,
That's,
let's, you know, like, you know, Roger, me and John
metal's
will
like
have,
metal's like a religion to me, dude. Like people talk about religious experience and like I can get emotional listening to fucking brutal fucking music, like welling up and stuff sometimes, you know, especially like Black Sabbath and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
people don't think, and let me say this too. People might say Black Sabbath, that's not brutal. Well, some of it is. Some of it fucking is, and some of it cannot be beaten for its heaviness. I don't
well, you
care
know,
what
there's still
I don't
nobody
care what you
heavier
fucking
than
tune your guitar to, or what death metal pedal you have.
Yeah. But you know what? Some
Sorry.
of it is the nostalgic side of it too. You know, it kind of, listening to that probably takes you back to a time in your life, you know?
Sure. You know,
Oh, absolutely. That's where the emotion comes in at.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, for sure. Yeah. You're right, Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a nostalgia thing. That's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
During my my drinking days, me and John would listen to lots of Black Sabbath, and we definitely disrupted the neighbors in you know, quite a bit. You know, they did not
Yeah.
like us, you know.
Yeah. But I had a pretty good relationship with my neighbors on the mostly. But
Yeah.
sometimes a few times, more than a few times, I got on the bad side.
There's stories, but we can't share that on live.
Right.
television.
No, not with young people. Not with young people on here. No.
Yeah.
That's what I talked about last week.
We don't want to set a bad example. We don't want to set a bad example.
Yeah. I'm still trying to discover what the boundaries are, so sometimes I just don't say anything.
Yeah,
So
sometimes
actually,
you're better not to say stuff.
let's get into this. I mean, you know, Roger, me and John will have our like hours long discussions, like nerd out about guitars and music and stuff. And so, John, what do you have like? I don't know if maybe we can nail it down to 5 guitars that are on your bucket list that you would love to have.
5 guitars on my bucket list.
You got one of them, I know.
I'd like to have. Yeah, that's.
You just showed us that.
My bucket list. Part of my bucket list was fulfilled in 1989. Excuse me?
Your guitar's on all of our bucket lists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. That thing, yeah, that's just great. But I don't know, man. I'd like to have you know, like a Gibson V, but a lefty Gibson V, which is like I never fucking saw one except the Jimi Hendrix one. Maybe who the fuck's that blues guy? That fat dude plays the V. I can't remember his name. They're the only 2 fucking lefty Gibson Vs I ever. What is it?
Albert King.
Albert King, yes.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
I was thinking that he left right, but he was.
Yeah, he's a lefty. Yeah. Unless all the pictures are negatives, that's why. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, not negative.
But up in there. And Kenny has another. What's your favorite guitar strings?
What's your
favorite guitar string?
Pick to use, John.
Strings and pick?
Yeah.
I use these picks here. If you can see it. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, is that
Dunlop?
Dunlop? Yeah.
The grips,
Dunlop
right?
Max grips, yeah.
Yeah.
and it's 1 millimeter.
Nice.
That's what I've been using them for years now.
That must mean you have bricklayer hands like I do. I
Yeah.
can't. Yeah, you need something to grip a hold of them.
Okay, this one. The lighting's not good in here, but I actually was bleeding playing my guitar today.
Oh, nice.
You know, reminded me of Buried Alive from Venom.
Yeah.
I tear at my strings, my fingers they bleed.
All right, what
Is
kind
this
of
happening
string?
to me, or is it just a dream? Huh?
Can you see?
Excuse my shitty vocal. I can't be loud, so my vocals don't sound good. I gotta be quiet here at this place.
What strings do you use, John?
I use Arnie balls. I've been using Arnie balls for fucking 35 years. Depending on the gauge depends on what I'm tuning to. Necrosion tunes to C. Oh yeah, by the way, if you say Necrotion or Necrosion or Necrotion, they're all correct. Anyway, that tunes to C.
See, what gauge?
That's all I can say.
Okay.
If I'm tuning to C, I used to use 10s tune to C back in the day, early Necrosion days. Now I use regular slinkies. Now I use beefy slinkies.
Oh.
Which is like 11 to 52, I think.
Right.
Because I like a little more tension on my strings nowadays for especially like treble picking and stuff. You know, if it's a little looser, it's not as. It seems like I can't. It feels like I can't pick as fast if it's looser. But that doesn't like tone. It's not much of an effect on the tone. I think if anything, maybe the lighter gauge strings might even be heavier when you hit like a fucking. Depends on how you hit the note. Like even with the heavier ones, actually, if I hit like an open E real hard, tune to C, it does this thing like it gets sharp because I guess it stretches when you hit it hard.
Right.
It gets sharp for a second and then bounces back.
It'll come back down
to and maybe even goes a little flat. So it goes like bow like that. But to me, it sounds great when you really strike that hard. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
That's all on how I play it.
Alex, what kind of strings? I think we talked about yours last week, right? I didn't know if Kenny wanted to know both.
I use Diodarios and picks. I use Dunlops as well. I used to use the ones that John used, but once you get like endorsements and you have to print the label on there, they can't print the labels on those grips. So I got used to using the ones without the grip. And
like the Tortex sort of material, Vortex material. I know what you're talking about. I used to use those back in the day.
Yeah.
These are actually, wow, these are like, I don't know what these are now, but they're super thick. They're not, I used to use millimeters, but I'm like, these are 2 millimeter, I guess, or something like that.
Right. You know, and John, you were talking about how loose the strings were and stuff. I was, before you came on, we were talking about this guitar behind me. It's has strings, 12 gauge strings on it, and tuned to B. And so my boss is my wife. She walked in the room while I was playing it. She goes, "Wow, that thing's buzzing a lot." I said, "They're 12 gauge strings tuned to B," and I showed her how much they move. Good grief! So, there's a lot of movement, a lot of slapping on the fretboard.
Yes, absolutely.
She's my quality control person. She's like, "That's a lot of buzz." She doesn't play guitar; she just knows buzz.
But she knows, yeah.
Yeah,
she's like, sound like it? It sounds shitty.
Yeah, you did a shitty job on that setup.
Well, if you got your amp loud enough, you might not hear the buzz so much.
Yeah, he probably won't hear it through his amp, but you can hear it when you're not plugged in for sure. But I don't know any way to make him not hear it.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem with electric guitars not plugged in or not that loud.
Yeah, right.
You can hear it. You can almost feel that buzz. You know?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I interrupt. Well, I think we have another question, but I interrupted you, Alex.
Oh, that's Pat Kelly.
Yeah,
so when he was he was fighting. He used to come out wearing a Necrotion shirt.
Yeah, he told me that. Thanks, Pat. How you doing, buddy? Been a long time.
Long time, yeah.
I saw him make that comment, so you just explained it because I said I guess he was a boxer, but he used to come out for his matches with their shirt on.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's super cool. It's cool that I can inspire somebody. It's cool that we can inspire people to kick the shit out of somebody else in a friendly way, in a friendly match.
In a friendly way, the friendliest way.
Not in the street. Don't go killing people. It wasn't our fault. Okay?
Right.
Don't blame the music.
Awesome, man. Cool.
They're popping in.
Oh yeah, these picks too are fucking badass.
So what is that exactly?
It's steel. It's stainless steel, but it's fucking super thin. It's like hair thin. But because it's steel, it's hair thin. But you got this, you got the same. It's stiff too. Like it's not like super flexible. You know what I mean?
Right.
So and you can hear the difference a little bit on the strings, but it can be. You have to kind of oil up your fingers a little bit, or wet them up, or use some fucking little tiny bit of hand lotion just to get it'll help you with the grip.
Right.
Plus, you got this
that little cut in the back. Yeah.
It's like cut into it. Anyway, these are ice picks. They're fucking good as shit. They make copper ones too.
Well, how's it sound on the strings?
It sounds different a little bit because it's more kind of sharper, kind of. I don't know. It definitely sounds different on an acoustic. That's for sure.
I bet. Yeah.
It's kind of like Brian May with the Pence.
Yeah.
It's like
with the five.
And if you listen to his sound,
Pence,
it's like percussive sounding. Like I don't know. And maybe that is for years I didn't know he used that.
It is percussive. You're right. You're right. You got a point there.
Eddie Van Halen used a metal pick for a while, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, wow.
I don't know.
So he used.
I think you might. Maybe he did.
He said that was why he thought he got mouth cancer. Remember?
Oh, that's right. Yes, I did hear that. Yeah.
I forget exactly.
Maybe.
But it was metal. But he said when he would tap, he would. There you go.
Plus, if you don't know where to put your pick, you just stick it to your fucking head.
There you go. Look, you should patent it, man. You just solved the problem. There was somebody,
really.
Alex.
You don't need gorilla snot, just a little spit and put it on your fucking head.
I can't remember which guitar player it is, but it's a famous guitar player uses his pick is an actual seashell from Assateague Island, Maryland. Maybe somebody in the comments knows who it is. I forget who it is, and I never heard that. I watched the interview one time, and it blew my mind that he goes, "Oh yeah, when I go to Assateague, I look for a specific shell, and that's what I use for my pick." But I forget who it is.
That's not a bad idea. You could get a fucking clamshell. It's mother of pearl. That's where they get mother of pearl.
Right.
Shit for inlays and stuff. So why not make a pick out of it? It's probably hard as fuck, like a rock, or like a piece of glass.
Why not?
Excuse me.
In Philly, also, right?
He's from outside of Philly, but
outside of Philly.
Who?
Philly, yeah.
Who? Pat?
Pat. Yeah. Pat.
Yeah. Levittown.
Levittown. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I wonder if he ran the stairs.
He may have. Yeah.
If you're a boxer near Philly,
what do you mean? Oh, you mean the art museum steps, like Rocky?
Yeah.
Our me and John's mutual friend,
probably did.
Tom, our mutual friend Tom Petrosky, he thought he was Rocky.
Right? No, he thought he was Rocky.
No.
Yo, Adrian. Yo.
Only our close friends know what we're talking about.
I had two turtles. They were Cuff and Link. They were related. You know what I'm saying? I used to wear them on my. I wear them on my suit when I married Adrian.
Yeah. Okay. We'll keep that off. Yeah. So, John, I guess, is there anything you want to leave us with? Like anything you're working on, like new music or any new projects in the work or whatnot to look out for?
I don't know. I'm always working on something, but nothing that is anywhere near completion, really. You know, sometimes I'm like, I'll write stuff on the guitar and I'll write lyrics down, jot down, but they're not all together at the moment. Like they're not specific necessarily, and I'm working on right now. I'm drawing shit, that's what I do. I've been working a lot, doing a lot of work, so that means I'm been doing a lot of resting also.
Right.
My mind and my body, because it's takes something out of you, so you have to rebuild. You have to recover, replenish vitamins and hydration and all that shit. Hydration is extremely important, man, because and the older you get, the worse it is, because you start dry to fuck up. You get muscle cramps and all this kind of stuff. So, but plus in the summer months, it's fucking brutal.
Yeah,
But not really too much going on that I could report. There's things in the mix that are done, but I'm not at liberty to go too far with that.
Right.
As far as
but it's safe to say
I don't want to say something and it don't happen, so I'll just keep it to myself for now.
But if the planet's alive, you have new stuff coming out.
Yes, at some point, right?
Oh yeah. There's shit in the can. There's shit in the can already.
There you go.
Yeah, cool, man.
Bad choice of words, bro.
Yeah. No. You just flush it on through, man.
Yeah, well. Well, thanks for coming on tonight, John. I appreciate it. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, at some point, you'll hear some new Necrotion, and thanks for the people that took the time to listen tonight. And look out for some more guests and some more shows in the works. Anything you want to add, Roger? Before
well, thanks everybody for hanging out. I mean, this is, Alex and I are kind of new at this, and you're kind of getting to take this journey with us on how to figure out how to run these things and do live shows. This is our second one. I think they're going to get better and cooler as we go. We have a lot of cool stuff. I think we've batted around and we've mentioned this a couple times, like having people like maybe John and other people with local guys and just having like a chill discussion, and just talking.
Yeah, we can make that happen the next time.
Exchanging ideas, I think will be cool, man. But I appreciate everybody hanging in there with us and watching us. I think it's going to get better as we go. So it's already a lot of fun. It's fun for me to just sit and listen to you guys talk. I've said that before. So,
well, and once again, I'll just leave it with this: is anybody that hasn't checked out John's music, check out all his bands from the Crows and Perverseraph, Symphony of Grief. I'm sure you can find all that stuff all over YouTube. And John's one of the old school guys that's been doing this since the early days with the rest of us. And, he's one of the unsung heroes that you may have not heard of too, so please go out and check it out. You won't be disappointed. Some amazing stuff. So once again, John, thanks for coming on, and hopefully next time we'll have a little powwow with you other guests. I'm sorry, Roger. Go ahead.
Yeah, and if you want, I'll end the stream. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Remember to subscribe. We need to get more subscribers. Like and subscribe, and I guess we're going to try to shoot for another one next week, or something in the next week. We'll see you all then.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Roger.